Call this public meeting of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Welcome everybody to the report session. And our first one is a career and technology report. Dana.
Good evening, President Newcomb, board members, Dr. Chadwell, leadership team. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I noticed that Mr. Newcomb was wanting to make sure that number one was here, and I was right in front of him, so we were ready to go.
I looked up and saw you, Dana.
I'm so pleased to be here tonight to give you an update for the department for the 18-19 school year and some wonderful news that we've received in the last week about how good the 17-18 year went. And so we always start off, regardless if we're here or at a staff meeting at the HCTC or a department meeting with all of the CTE staff, we always start off with our mission, which we branched off of the district's mission. And we want to make sure that we foster a culture of excellence, instill a passion for a lifetime of continuous achievement and high demand, highly skilled occupations of tomorrow's global economy, getting those kids ready for college and career. Our visions: integrate education with the workplace, engage students in their educational journey, let them make those choices to where their future is going and how they need to get there. Foster a commitment to post-secondary education, whatever that looks like for the student, and prepare students to create their future in tomorrow's highly skilled, competitive workforce. Short answer: college, career, and life ready. Our enrollment for this year has gone up. We've had some interesting trends. In the middle schools, we have 1,149 students participating in CTE classes. That is up from 910 last year. So we've seen quite a bit of growth. We have 993 students in MAPS this year. That's up by about 83 students. We have a campus enrollment. This is the high school campus's enrollment, 4,674. That is about even with what it was last year. So we're seeing trends. If you look at the HCTC enrollment, it's 1,381. Quite a bit. We had 1,202 last year, so we've grown quite a bit. So what we're seeing is we're seeing students come into it in the middle schools and go into it in the HCTC. So we're seeing students really start to take advantage of those high school credits in the middle school. And so I think that's why we're seeing the lift up in that enrollment. And what that does is that allows our high school students during their freshman and sophomore years to take those classes that allow them to go on to the HCTC, such as taking their foreign languages early, taking those extra maths, getting that credit, those fine art credits if they need to take those, getting those out of the way. And so I think that's the trends that we're starting to see, is really thinking about what do I want to do and how do I get there. So it's really interesting. This year we have, for the first time in 8 years, a student who is taking 3 classes with us. Madison Johnson from Saginaw High School is in aeroscience, robotics, and manufacturing engineering 2. So she's only taking AP Calculus at Saginaw High School. So really exciting about that. Some of the accomplishments, we just got this number last week, which is our students earned 1,175 industry-based certifications last year. So I just keep saying the number, 1,175. I just keep saying it over and over because that is up from 909 last year. And so we are thrilled that our students are thriving and achieving. Of that 1,175, sorry, I said it again, 425 are federally reported certifications and licensures. That is up from 202 last year. And so though they may not all be on the federal report, they are all still important and they are all still industry-based. So we think they're still important, and so we'll also be using those on the state accountability system as well. We had a 92.7 passing rate for first-time takers. We thought that was a really good number. Once we allowed those who weren't successful on the first try to go back on the second try, that number went up to 96. So thrilled with our passing rate. These are things that you've all seen. You were here not too long ago when we had that big group of students who were with us. We were thrilled to have, again, for the 4th consecutive year, 2 students placed at the NASA International Space Design Competition. Mr. Rick Griffith, still our rocket man, as you know him, continues to do a great job. Skills USA state and national competitors. We are known I love being able to say that Eagle Mountain Saginaw is known at the national level. And that is a thrill for me and a thrill for our students. DECA, again, state and national competitors. FCCLA, state and national competitors. Those students were here the day that the NASA and the skills students were with us. TPSA, regional and state competitors. This is our law enforcement organization. HOSA, state and national competitors. At the Tarrant County Junior Livestock Show, our students received over $54,000 in total proceeds for their animals. It was a great year for our FFA program, lots of students competing, all the way from our juniors to our senior FFA members. Some of you, of course, a little close to the FFA program. Junior Achievement. We are thrilled to have a relationship with Junior Achievement. We started out a couple years ago involved with the company store program. That is a program at our high schools that we run through our marketing program where the students actually have a business, a true business. They go out, they have to get capital, they have to get funding, they make a product, and the goal is to sell that for a profit. And Dr. Chadwell goes out to the Northeast Mall to see them when they're out there selling their products and they compete. We now have extended that program to 2 years. So they will take it both in business management and in entrepreneurship. So we are thrilled, and our program is growing. We now have it at all 3 of our high schools, and we probably have about 30 to 40 students at each campus participating. We continue to develop our curriculum, moving it to that next level, making sure that we're staying ahead of the game, making sure that we're staying up with our industry standards and regulations. We have sophomores at HCTC this year. We have a small pilot program to see how that's going to run. They have been great so far. They're doing really well. These are students who are highly motivated, looking to spend 3 years at the HCTC. And so there's a goal that I'll go over later on that we're going to be implementing practicums for those students to go to work during their senior year that will be aligned to their course of study. We seated last year a CTE Advisory Council, of which Sarah Hollenstein sits on. We're very excited to have her working with us. They are our pulse of the community. We meet with them twice a year formally. I think they get tired of my phone calls though because they're all on speed dial for me, and I keep in touch with all of them to make sure that what we're doing and what we're deciding is really what's going on in the community, what businesses are coming in, what things are trending, where are things going, and they are just an invaluable resource to all of us. We have implemented this year a focused PLC program for our high school CTE teams. PLCs usually are centered around data analysis and what do we need to be doing to make sure students are growing. It's a little different for CTE because we're all different. We're a program of agriculture and marketing, business, family and consumer science, all of those different programs coming together. And so we have developed a program that allows our teams to come together to discuss best practices, instructionally rigorous practices that move students to the next level. They do discuss data, they talk about what's going on in their classrooms, but it's really about what are those good practices that regardless of what you teach are going to give us high yield. So really thrilled about that going on, and I know that all of the CTE administrators at the high school have been very have worked really hard with me to make that happen. This year, we implemented a new teacher academy. As you know, often CTE teachers will come to us directly out of industry. They don't come having come through a college program where they're trained in education. They bring enormous amounts of wealth of experience. But we know that a CTE teacher we will lose within the first 2 years if they are not strongly mentored and really wrapped in a coat of mentorship and development. And so we have implemented a program that lasts 3 years. Any new CTE teacher will come to us, and they have been partnered with a mentor, a strong mentor from their high school campus that is also a CTE teacher. We meet with them regularly for development, and then Kim Traylor, the CTE coordinator, and myself stay in constant contact with them and their mentors to make sure that they're feeling that they're ready and prepared for the next day. What's coming and what can we help them with? It's about knowing what you're doing in the classroom is right, having someone to talk to, and also having someone who can tell you what the copy code is as well. And so that's important. So it's about all of it coming together. We're really excited. 3-year program, very cutting edge. I think we're on the forefront of something that a lot of districts are contacting us about and wanting to replicate. So really thrilled with that. Our goals. Obviously, we want to increase the challenges on industry recognized certifications. Not only do we want to increase the challenges, we want to make sure that what we're offering students is what they need. When they walk away from us, not at the end, but at the beginning, when high school graduation happens, that they're prepared to go out and either get a job to start a career or maybe get a job that's going to help them work their way through school, putting them in the industry that they're going to continue on in. We want to make sure that we're preparing them correctly. We want to continue to increase our passing rate. We were thrilled. We went from 88% last year to 92.7% on first-time takers, so we saw a definite increase. A lot of that has to do with our teachers across the board utilizing goal setting and working with our students to track their own growth, take possession and ownership of what they're doing in the classroom. We are really excited. We're going to be implementing 2 ag endorsements this year. Ag was one of the areas that we have not had an endorsement in, but we can now. We'll be offering one in advanced plant and soil as well as advanced animal science. So we will be working with TCC on one of those as a dual credit program, but really thrilled that we're going to be offering those students who are ag related a way to continue on and gain that endorsement. We will be implementing senior year practicums. This is for our sophomores. They will go through 2 years, the normal 2 years at the HCTC, and then as a senior, they will leave. They will go and find a job, but it has to be associated back to their program of study. So if you are a student who's in practicum of automotive, you'll be working at a dealership or a shop somewhere in that field. If you are in practicum of culinary, you will have been with us for 2 years and now you're going out to get a job at a restaurant. So we want to make sure that they're focused and in field. We will continue to grow our business partnerships. These are vital. Not only there are experts coming to our classrooms, but they're also the places our students are going to work. And so we need to be cultivating that. It is not about what we can get from the businesses and the companies in the area. It's what we as a district can give them, because that's really what we want to do, is show them what we can provide to them and how we can help fill a need. We will continue to, this is from last year, a continuation, we will continue to work with TCC. We have pinpointed several areas where we can offer dual credit. Our instructors at the HCTC have already met the qualifications to be adjunct instructors for TCC, so we are working very closely with them to be able to offer those opportunities where it's in our building, our teachers, our classrooms, our equipment, our students. And so we will continue to work with them and have those conversations. I know Dr. Chadwell is going to be involved in some of those conversations as well. It has been a great year. We will be releasing our promo videos. I know you saw Mr. Bell's video, which was phenomenal. You've seen the athletics one. Well, we got jealous and we wanted our own. And somebody happened to have stolen George Garza from the communications department. So sorry about that, Megan. So he is working on some promo videos for us that we'll be releasing shortly. So we will be glad to send you those links, but they weren't done. And until they're done and perfect, Mr. Garza wouldn't release them. And so I didn't want to make him. Is there any questions I can answer for anybody?
What kind of feedback are you getting from the businesses? You mentioned you were developing that relationship. So are they giving you any feedback about things they like or don't like about our students that are coming in to work in their industry?
I will tell you what they really like is they're coming in prepared. They're saying they don't need a lot of training. They don't need a lot of retraining. And so they're able to hit the floor very quickly. They also, and this is something that I say just as administrator, they say our kids are very respectful. They're very well-mannered, they're great communicators, and they're hard workers. And so that, to me, says that we're developing a whole child to get out and go ahead and go into that career, into that field. So they appreciate what we're doing. They think that we're doing a great job, not just in the career and technology area, but across the board. That's what I hear. They have a very holistic picture of the district, and they're very pleased. Athletics, fine arts, academics, CTE, elementary, high school, across the board. That's what I hear.
And in the ever-evolving work changes and job changes, as we set this up, I'm sure there's some new disciplines that have come in. Or how are we keeping up with those? Or to stay on the cutting edge of those, what are we having to do?
The best thing I can do is make sure I'm keeping up with labor market information, also looking to see what are our employers in the area needing. Dr. Chadwell and I met with CTI Foods the other day, who, if you don't know that they're in the area, you don't know they're here, but they make all the soups for Jason's, Panera, Subway, and McAllister's. They didn't bring us any samples, but we enjoyed meeting them. And so they're coming to us looking for people, and it's just not culinary. People think, oh, they want culinary. No, they need kids who can do manufacturing, because that's a manufacturing plant. They need welders. They need a very broad base of student to come and work for them. And so that's how we're doing that. We're also making connections to the health field. That's where we see a lot of changes coming, so we're making sure that we're staying in contact with organizations like Texas Health Resources to see what is it that you need our students to come out with so that they're ready to hit the floor running. What will they need if they leave us? What are the opportunities for them to come to work for you while they work their way through school as well? Because that's vital. I would say that is the vast majority of the students that are coming out of CTE is kids who are needing a way to work their way through school.
Mr. Newcomb, you'll be seeing in our course proposal several new courses that are coming from the Career and Technology to stay on the cutting edge as well. I think she had 14. I thought it was 14.
14.
That's great. We appreciate the job y'all do over there, and it goes with our district. So we appreciate that, fostering the culture of excellence that y'all are on the cutting edge of. And we know other districts are looking to us now as an example, and we appreciate the leadership you've shown.
I appreciate it. Well, we wouldn't be able to do it without you. I mean, it's the truth. I'm not brown nosing. I mean it, and that's the first thing I'll say. We had Spring Branch ISD at our district. We were one of 5 places that they're visiting in the state as they develop their CTE program. And the first thing I said is, we are so blessed. We have a board that believes in what we do. We have a board that believes in kids. You can't ask for any better than that. I have a leadership team. I have a superintendent and a leadership team that believe in kids and believe in doing what's right for students. If we hold true to that, anything is possible. So thank you for your support.
Appreciate it. All right, Mr. Welps, the operations report, are you turning it immediately over? No, you're coming up. All right.
Tonight we have several presentations. First one will be with Huckabee. We have Gary with us here, but he's not doing the presentation. He's just doing his work there. We have Aubrey Schleybaugh, who's been our lead on the project, and she will go over our PowerPoint. Some of this you've already seen as far as the exterior, but she will quickly go over that and then move into the interior or some of the finishes and exterior finishes.
Thank you. Good evening, board. Dr. Chadwell. So this is our design development presentation for the new elementary school for Copper Creek. So this is further development off of what we brought you a couple of months ago, where we've looked more at materials, we've looked more at the details of each space, and so we'll run through that a little bit tonight.
Okay.
Just quick review, there haven't been any changes on the site plan since the last time, other than that we no longer are required to put a secondary fire lane through that bottom left corner into the neighborhood. So everyone is on board with just keeping access off of Copper Meadow Drive. So we think that simplifies things for the school district as well. But other than that, everything is as you'd seen it last time, with the parent drop-off along the front of the building and along the left side, and then your buses will drop off over by the gym, shelter, and cafeteria side. And then again on the floor plan, no changes from the last time you saw it. I'll just do some quick reminders of some of the changes from Dozier to today. If you recall, we removed a lot of the restrooms on the first floor within the classrooms. Now the kindergarten classrooms share restrooms between two classrooms, and the first grade classrooms no longer have the restrooms, and so that allowed us to tighten things up a little bit. And then probably the largest change is, as a reminder, the gymnasium is a tornado shelter in this project. And so there's some additional functions in there, some additional restrooms, a control room and things. But all in all, very similar plan to Dozier. So if you have any questions on it, we can walk through it. Otherwise, I'll jump to the views and kind of talk through materials in more detail. Okay. We showed these images last time. Just as a reminder, this is the community center that's immediately across the street from the new elementary school. And so we're not exactly replicating materials, but we do want to build off of the palette that's already there. And so a lot of the colors of the brick and the stone come from the palette that's here. And so we'll be using, again, not quite the same layout as far as the stone is concerned, but just some similar concepts as well, and with the dark metal. So this first one is the view of the front of the building. So the main entrance is in the center with the library and the tornado shelter to your left, and the two-story classroom, the administration and the two-story classroom wing to the right. I don't know the best way to do this as far as showing these to you as we walk through it, but the brick over here on the right, the medium tone is what you largely see on the shelter, the gymnasium and the administration wing, and then the academic wing has the stone blend that you see at the bottom of this board, and the medium brick here at the top as well. The dark brick is what is on the stair towers, and then the light brick is just an accent band in a few areas at the top of the stone, and I think through the stone where that first floor windowsill is as well. And then the main entrance itself is the metal panel that you see in the upper right corner of that board. Continuing around, this is the side that shows the back of both classroom wings where they intersect. So again, the darker brick is the stair tower. And then the same vocabulary continues around. Here you can actually see the accent bands and the brick on that first story windows along the first floor. And then this shows the other side of the back academic wing, and you can see the cafeteria entrance there, those windows that are set back in the center. Again, most of it is that medium brick tone that carries around the building. The dark brick is just that accent at the ends to kind of play off of the dark metal panel at the center spine, the main entrance that carries through. Any questions on the exteriors?
A lot of brown, isn't it? Just didn't want it to look like
I think it looks great.
brown, dark brown.
I like to.
It's gonna go good with the neighborhood.
Is
And-
the stone, is it a mixture of those two?
Yes,
stones?
it will be a
Okay,
blend.
It looks lighter on the picture, but it'll be more.
It will be a blend, yeah. The darker stone is probably a smaller percentage of the overall, but yes. Yeah, you'll see a little bit more contrast than what you see in the renderings. And one of the brick colors is the same as Dozier, but we've brought the darker brick in just to give it a little more contrast compared to what you see on Dozier. The interior, these views are new to you all. We wanted to show the cafeteria to you because the ceiling is a little bit different in here than it is in Dozier. There was a wood element at Dozier, but just that was a little challenging during construction, so we wanted to try a different product on this one. So this is a wood slatted ceiling in there that just has some accent lighting in the center. But other than that, the bulkheads are on the perimeter and the lighting will be very similar to what you've seen. As far as some of the finishes that are being used on the interior, these are your floor tiles. And so this will be, the lightest color will be your field tile, that's what you'll see most often, and then just some accents showing this of your main entry and commons area. Again, we did change up the ceiling a little bit. At Dozier, it was just some lay-in ceiling clouds of similar form, but we wanted to go ahead and bring the element in that's in the cafeteria, bring it into the entrance and kind of tie those spaces together a little bit better. And so that's in addition to this space. That's a little bit different. We also wanted to bring a little bit more pop of color, but not through the tile that you're stuck with for 20, 30 years, but rather just do that through the paint and through the things that are more easily replaceable and updated. So the dark gray on the 3 pop-outs that you see is the tile, and that's to keep it neutral, but then the pops of color, the yellow is your paint, and then the red up top in the clear story windows also is just an accent paint. And then you'll also see the red in the display cases, and that is on the board here next to the stage curtain. So that'll be at the back of your display cases, the top little surface in there. And then these are your acoustic panel colors. You'll see that it's basically the same as the paint color, so we want those to disappear. Some of the other finishes, just to draw to your attention, this is the key little curtain in the nurse's office. These are your paint colors. This is your fill color that you'll see vast majority of areas with just some pops of the colors, the red and gold throughout. The academic wings have that intersection just to help with wayfinding, but not too often used. And then these would be your gym flooring colors. This would be the main floor, just with a black border around the edge, and then the yellow is just for the additional color that we use for striking. As far as restrooms, the dark tile will be on the floor, and then this lightest tile will be on the walls. These are your toilet partitions and your wash stations. And then the kitchen flooring here. Sorry, kitchen flooring, kitchen wall. And then the carpet in the classrooms and the walk-off tile at the main entrances. I know that was pretty quick. Other questions on the materials and on the views?
Excuse me, is the gray, is it, you say it's tile?
Yes, so that's this tile here.
It looks like a KDOT block.
No, it's a large format tile, so it's about 12 by 24, so it is a larger tile, which is probably why it looks similar in scale to the block.
Right. Pretty industrial looking, you like that?
I do.
Okay. Go back to 6.2, I think. I'm gonna ask you what the end of the building, on the end of the building, brick structure on the right-hand side. It's got 2 brick columns and it's supporting whatever over the top. What is that?
So, yeah, the side on the left is the stairwell, and then on the right, you have a storage room on one of the ends, and you have a small breakout classroom on the other end, on each of those wings.
So is there a top? I mean, it looks like it doesn't look like there's a top on that. I guess maybe
It's just a flat roof over that piece.
There's a flat roof under the pitched roof. Correct?
Yes, yeah. I mean, the pitched roof
It looks
is
kind of like it
just.
was added on, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, if you want us to take another look at that, or,
I
you
don't
know,
know, no,
adjust the
everybody likes it,
roof line, we
everybody likes everything else, so I don't know. So far.
I think it looks good.
I do too, it's a little more modern.
Huh. Okay. Looks like an afterthought, sorry.
I'm not sure what the
Which-
posts, are those
Two roofs
support
on it.
posts on that?
Do what?
Are those support posts holding up that?
Yeah, they're supporting the second floor.
So I don't understand why you put a roof on top and you got a roof on the, I mean, why would you have 2 roofs there instead of,
No, there's not two roofs.
they're not?
No.
I thought you said there was.
You said it was flat.
It is a flat roof.
He's saying this
I didn't
is
know
like
if you were talking about the overhang that you're seeing over the stair tower, or if you were thinking that the academic wing
I
roof
don't know, this
extends
right,
over?
this area right here, what is, I can't
Yeah,
really
it's
see.
just a flat roof. There is not a
So
sloped
you have a
roof that
pitched roof and
extends.
you have a flat roof underneath it, right?
Yeah, so the overhang will overlap a few feet of that roof, but not very much of it.
The picture, it looks like, it looks like it's very overlapped, but it's not. That top
No,
roof
the
line
overhang
is
is
much
probably,
further back.
the overhang's probably only 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, I think it's an illusion, the way it looks. The way it's not that way.
So how does
Do you
the
have another
water?
angle of that picture, maybe more straight on, so you can see where the
Thought there was
roof line
another
comes down?
That's what we were saying.
Yeah.
I don't,
It's a totally, it's not, it doesn't come all the way across.
I mean, I don't know, I don't
There's
have.
one
anything
at the
other-
other end, there's one maybe on each, because I can see another one at the end of,
Yeah, and again, I think just the view makes that overhang look more exaggerated, but it's not that extreme.
how does the water get off the flat roof?
There's an internal roof drain, and it'll drain down through one of those supporting columns and connect to the system that goes underground.
What kind of roof is that? Just curious.
It's a single flat roof, and it's not flat, it's sloped. That's sloped.
Yeah. Oh,
Generally flat, yeah.
yeah.
So is that material that,
It's a single ply white roof.
good?
I don't know, it's a little brown to me, but
I agree with that,
Mr. Elkins and I seem to be in the minority here.
absolutely. Brown and industrial.
All right,
Well, I just think when it's an elementary school too, that we're looking for things that would attract elementary. I've always liked the primary colors, but looks like we have, is that on 6-5? So when I look down that hallway, it's gray and brown, and then there's some red in the trophy cases, and then like an orange door, or orange, that, I guess that orange color you said was gonna be
It's
used in
the-
the gym to mark the lines or borders?
yeah, but there's also a gold paint, so what you're
So it's that
thinking is
center
orange
paint
is the
of
gold.
all the different,
inlays.
the yellow center.
Oh, I see, okay. It's that's the color that shows up in that hall, is that one you just pointed to?
Yes, yeah, the red and the gold is what you're seeing in this view.
Which are the school colors there?
Right. Cowboys, is that what we?
I believe so, yes. 3 seats.
All right, any other questions? I think you have a timeline for us too?
Yes, yeah, so lastly, just wanted to give you a schedule update. It's the same schedule you saw last time. We're still tracking right where we want to be. Like I said, this is the end of the design development phase, so bringing this update to you tonight. The plan is to issue documents at the end of October for permitting with the city of Fort Worth. And then soon after that, issue documents for bid. What Cleet and I have talked about is issuing documents in order to bid before Christmas. And then we will bring you that CSP for approval in January. So still on track for a February start of construction and an April of 20 completion. Any other questions?
The stone, is it natural stone or is that veneer?
It is natural stone.
Natural?
All right, thank you, Audrey.
Next, I'll bring Lisa up with VLK, and she'll introduce our team that's been working with, on Creekview and the Highland project. And kind of what our challenges were in this project and trying to move the current office to the front and the library to the center of the building, and some concepts to run by you. So Lisa, you're right there. And we have Andy here with us. She was part of the process several meetings with her also. Just want to make sure she knows.
Well, good evening, President Newcomb, members of the board, and Dr. Chadwell. We're pleased to be here tonight to give you an update on the design progress for Highland and Creekview Middle Schools. The overarching objective of this project is to get the administration up towards the front of the building so that we can provide for that secure, controlled entry environment that you guys are I guess, enacting in all of your campuses. And so it's a little bit broader in scope than what we did this summer with just doing the controlled entry at the vestibule kind of modifications. So I've got with me tonight Sydney Goldstein, who is an interior designer of our firm, and she's been responsible for designing the project. And then I have Chris Morris, who is our project architect on the project, so is helping manage it through the construction process. So I'm gonna let them take off and explain the design, and I'm here for questions.
Thank you. Hello, thank you for your time tonight. As you can see, this is the existing condition, and we have the square footages laid out for you. One of the biggest challenges, as you can see, is that the existing administration square footage is a lot larger than the existing library square footage, so we're trying to fit a lot of program into a smaller space. So this is the new condition. We are removing one of these classrooms and replacing it with flexible classroom spaces. So the function of the space will still be relatively the same as far as classroom goes. We're just giving it more flexibility and options. So this is the new proposed administration. You have your controlled access here, and then you walk into the reception. We have a donut-shaped floor plan with the corridor wrapping around. We have the clinic with access through the reception. We have an office and storage room for them. And then you go down the corridor, and we have some restrooms, storage. And then we have a lounge that also connects through this corridor. And on the other side is the band and orchestra rooms. And we thought that would be a good connection for them to have access as well to the lounge space. And in this corner on the right, we have a small conference room, and then an office, the secretary for the principal, a vault and storage room. And with the principal, we sort of wanted to give them their own space. We wanted to give them a window and sort of have a buffer from the secretary for parents that are coming in and any visitors that they may have. And then going on, we have the conference room, and we have some existing windows in that space. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring in as much natural light as possible in the existing space. And so we have frosted storefront glass in that conference room as well, so that you can still have all the light transferring through, but you still have that privacy if you have a meeting. And then we have the counselor offices in this corner, and we have a shared waiting area for students to wait to be seen. And then we have the two AP offices across from each other as well. And then we have in the center a workroom. We wanted to centralize that again to bring in as much natural lighting. We have some storefront in there that is shared through the other corridor, so that it makes a small space feel bigger than it actually is. And we have some casework in there. And then we have a file room with just file cabinets, and then we're adding 2 more offices than what they currently have. So again, trying to fit a lot of program in a small and limited space. We were able to add 2 offices, and that's why they're showing a little smaller than what they currently are. And we went based off of Marine Creek Middle School to get square footages and all of that as a guide.
So with respect to the security functions, it'll operate just like the majority of your campuses do that have these features currently, so that you'll have the controlled access into the building, and then they will enter into the reception space. They won't be able to get back into the rest of the administration space without authorization, so there's controlled access on that door. And then they will be buzzed into the rest of the school through that reception desk.
Currently, there's a door in the library, right, going outside on that corner, so are we just blocking out the door?
Yes.
Yes,
So we would cover up that door?
Correct.
And then putting the principal all the way back in the corner, was that, the principals normally had access to the hallway in the schools, and now the principal's a long way from the students back in that corner for access to the hall. Is that, what consideration was given to that? I know Anthony's right on the hallway now. I mean, she leaves her door open for the
Right.
students. When you go by there, you see her.
Part of what we did is provide reception oversight into where some of the students are, so help for supervision associated with that, and providing for access to visitors into some of those direct offices that see a lot of the public. And we also wanted to take advantage of getting the principal out on the natural light side, so that they would have the advantage of having that, not only just for the benefit of having natural light into the office, but to help oversee from a safety and security standpoint, visitors coming into the
Right.
campus, that's a common practice now. And they do have the ability, even though it seems sort of, since we have two doors, the ability to get straight back out into the rest of the building through the lounge space. But we provided for two doors so that you can provide security or can block it off after hours.
They can get out into the hall, but that hall
Correct.
is, the only thing there is the band, right? I mean,
We also wanted to give the clinic access straight through the reception. That way, if the nurse is on lunch break, then the receptionist can still watch kids that are in the nurse, and we wanted them to not walk through the entire administration
Yeah.
space.
That's if they're sick. So and that's, I guess, glassed in between them. I mean, there's some kind of curtains or,
Yes. And this door through the reception is the only way to get in and out of the clinic, so if a student leaves, someone will know about it.
The waiting area in between the counselors,
Mhm.
The clinic, in the clinic,
huh?
is that what you, I'm
When
sorry.
the
No, there's a
counselors.
waiting area in between the counselors, it doesn't look real visible to, if you got kids waiting there, what, who's,
But it's for all the APs and the counselors.
Yes, and what we have is, it might be hard to see, but we have windows in each counselor's office looking out into that
they
waiting
can
area.
see,
And we
okay,
also
it
have,
just didn't look
Yeah.
we have windows through the
So some
AP and then also
really unsupervised.
the receptionist.
Anthony, you okay being back there in the corner with no way out?
It'll be different.
Yeah.
I won't be able to see the sixth graders, but because of the layout and movement, the sixth graders are not gonna be here.
You weren't gonna be able to see them anyway.
I don't stay in my office that much. It's okay.
Well, that's true.
Mr. Newcomb, before you mentioned that door a while ago, that door will be used, it will be filled in for construction. So when we have a construction group on site, they'll use that side door, so they won't have to come into the main building, like through the front entrance on the side. So we won't close it up to the very end.
The plan is though to close it in, so there's no other access point from that corner, or no regress point for the principal.
So moving on to the new media center and library space. The goal of this space was to really open it up and make it very open and transparent and visible from many aspects of the building. So when kids are going through classes, they have another point of walking through and just seeing a really open and creative environment on their way to the other classes. So what we have is a media center flexible space, and that's just a gathering space that is open for after-hours activities, as well as during school hours. And we have 2 huddle rooms adjacent to an existing janitor's closet. And this can also act as an overflow space for the library and any meetings that occur in there. And then you have this corridor, and here's an existing staircase down here. And we are closing access to that because it's an open space. So what you'll have is a door that after hours cannot be accessed through this space, but if you're upstairs and want to exit through those stairs, then that is an option for you, just to limit security access after hours.
There'll be a panic bar on the stair side?
Yes.
Is that what it's gonna be?
And so on the perimeter of the library space, we have these glass wall systems, and they're operable partitions. And so when it's closed off, it's still very open and transparent with glass. And then when it's open, you have the same thing. So after hours, kids cannot access the library, but they can still see into the space. And so both of the spaces are very connected, and again, it acts as an overflow if needed. And so the layout of the library is, it's centered around this gathering space with tables focusing on a projection screen for an opportunity for teachers to go out and teach classes there and for district-wide meetings and stuff like that. And also, in these flexible classrooms, that also acts, when it's open, it could be another overflow space if more tables are needed. And so we have a learning stair in the top right corner, again, as another place for teachers, as an option to go and teach class in a different environment. We're doing a feature wall back there where we can highlight student artwork or have a graphic vinyl wall covering that we would show. And there's USB outlets within the stair so that kids can interact with technology and have flexibility there. And then we have the circulation desk in the back, which is close to the center of the space so that students can go scan their books and check out. And then we have the office for the librarian, the workroom, and then on this bottom corner we have test storage with a controlled access door. We couldn't fit that in the administration area, so we tucked it back there. And again, gave control access to it. And we have fixed storefront glass here to sort of limit how students enter when it's closed, when all the walls are closed, so that there's still an access point. Say the librarian doesn't want to have them open all day, but they still want the library to be open. They can go through these doors and still go through the library. And then in this area over here, off the corridor, there's a space for, again, some where teachers can go and bring their class just for another option to teach. And so there's access close to these classrooms down at the bottom.
That's an open, to the corridor, that's an open area and the
Yes.
wall is back, okay.
Yeah, and there's
Thank you.
fixed storefront, so that, again, we're wanting to open it up and have visuals, but also sort of limit where students can walk through and all of that.
How is that classroom being used today? You took
Yeah,
a classroom,
that's what I'm
correct?
asking.
Yes, this area over here. So currently it's being used as any other classroom, and what we're doing is we're closing it off with glass partitions, and then in the center we have a solid partition, and there would be frosted glass on these, again, to bring light through the space but still have privacy if a class is going on. So again, we wanted to make this as flexible as possible so we can have it be one large classroom, or we can break it up into two smaller classrooms, depending on what you're doing. And then we wanted one that was more.
So you would anticipate it still being used as a classroom?
Yes.
It's not so much like on a daily basis?
Correct.
Would that be distracting at all for the kids to have a glass wall with kids coming and going from the library? I'm asking somebody that teaches. I feel like it would be for
Who were you
my
looking
kids.
at when you asked that question?
I was kind of looking at
Anthony?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Auntie,
Well, when I first started, my room was the reference room of the library at Wayside. That was a long time ago, so it can be done.
Well, if we think of it, we were talking about the Hollenstein earlier, many of the classrooms have windows. Now, that's a high school, not a middle school, but still same concept. Well, one of the things philosophically they're trying to do there is open up the middle of the building. That building, as we know, is a little bit more, let's just call it symmetrical, and they're trying to add more variety to it. So when you go in, When you walk into either school, you basically know how it's laid out within about 5 seconds. You get a sense of it. They're trying to make it have a little bit more features here, and that's why this is, you don't, even though there's some symmetry, there's also a lot of angles and opportunities there to just make it a little bit more interesting.
I mean, I like how it looks, I'm just, if it's really primarily used as a classroom every single day, I'm just thinking from the function of a teacher standpoint, is that going to be
No, I think it's a good point. I think one of the drivers, in a previous board discussion, we were talking about having a room that could be divided up into smaller, but could be also a larger one. So I think that's what they're trying to, I don't want to steal Cleet's words, but I know we were talking about trying to have that feature here. So if we wanted to break it up into 2 smaller rooms or leave it as 1 larger. So any comment? Well,
I would say, depending on how many students they have, really day-to-day, that's probably not going to be a day-to-day classroom. But it is something that the librarian could use or a class could go into. Now, when they start getting full or something like that down the road, then they may have to adjust.
That's generally how we see it, you know, when you have the flexibility based on capacity to use it as a flex space, but then when you're pressed, that it would have all the amenities that would support classroom environment. The idea of doing some of the glass again is to try to get, that, reduce that feeling of being closed in, although it would be frosted so that you wouldn't have that direct, connection with what's going on. And frosted glass also gives you the opportunity to use it as a marker board or, flex teaching wall as well. So it's you got a lot of conversion in the space. Will really support, because of the flexibility, teacher training, and some of those things that go on in the space.
No, I like it very much as a flex space, but if we're using it primarily as a classroom, that was where my concern was.
It doesn't sound like they will until they get full.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I got out of that.
Right.
If you look at it, and you have as we're working on presentation skills and collaborative skills, you have the learning stair right here where you could have students doing their debate or their speech while you have others writing it and you have others typing it up. And you're able as a teacher to see all of those areas and monitor them and have the resources needed right there. So I could see it as a wonderful flex space for anything from social studies, English, or debate.
How big was the librarian's office? I'm just curious. Before, she's got an 81 square foot office. Is that similar to what she's coming from? Do you know? What she had previously? So I was trying to find her office on the old.
Right. I think it was definitely larger in the existing, but we met with all of the end users with this plan, and they all said that they don't need as much space as what they are given currently. What they really need is just floor space for a printer. They have 1 large printer and then just a desk base. From what I gathered, they're not in their office a lot during the day. It's usually just to make a phone call or to order, to place orders. So all they really needed was just a little casework and all of that. And so all of those plans that you just saw were just for Creekview. Highland is very similar in the layout, and we're doing the exact same thing at both. There just might be some tiny discrepancies as far as square footages and just how it's laid out. But for the most part, it is very similar. And so we have the Creekview materials over here and then the Highland materials over here. Since it is mostly a renovation project, we will be tying into existing materials most of the time. And in the admin, for the carpet, we're going with the district standard, and same thing with the wall colors. So really the only thing would be casework that would primarily be affected in the admin. And we're showing plastic laminate for the reception desk. And then In the media center, we're having this carpet, and you could see it in some of these renderings that we have. So this is the media center flex space. Again, this is the space that could be closed off after hours from the library, but still open. So this could be accessed after hours. And it's defined by the floor and the ceiling. And then we have gathering tables and some lounge seating, and then again, these 2 huddle rooms in the back. And then, so you could still see very far into the library, and basically this is what the view that you would see when you walk into the school through the vestibule and the reception area. So just having that first impression space. And then this is the center of the library, facing that projection screen with all those tables and the gathering space. So you have bookcases on either side. And we're highlighting this space with a ceiling grid. It's a little more unusual than a 2x2 ceiling grid. And we really wanted to just draw attention to the center space and really make it feel different and unique. And so we have a gradient of grays and white. We're focusing on the yellow color of the school colors, and at Highland it would be the blue. And so since it's such a long and linear space, we wanted to play homage to that in the carpet pattern. And so the majority of the carpet will be the gray color that you see, and then a sprinkle of yellow and pops of color throughout with that pattern. And there's also some tiles that, again, will not take up the majority, but will be sprinkled in every now and then with the diagonal line pattern. Just to tie into the ceiling and to make it pop a little more.
So those are strip lighting, is that how the center's lighted?
Yes. And then this is a view of the.
I see you have a purple paint color, haven't seen it on the.
Yes, that,
Purple and gold.
Yeah, but
right?
I didn't see it in the slides at all.
Yeah,
I'm
that's.
just wondering where you're using the purple.
That's gonna be an accent color. If you look at this rendering, we have the feature wall.
So is that the only place you used it, someplace like that?
Yeah. So this is the view of the learning stair. And again, this could just be a place for students to read their books and for teachers to come out and have another space for them to teach or to break out into groups during a class activity. And we're showing a light wood color for the staircase and as well in the ceiling. And then this back wall, just to have some inspiring words or graphics, to bring in some more pops of color and to just make it feel like a really creative space where students can engage.
So right now, the graphics are a placeholder that will determine as we move into the project on what we would actually do.
Well, that's right, because you talked about it maybe being just an art display place too, so which would mean there wouldn't be any purple in it at all. It'd just be the golds and the grays.
Do you have purple in the one you add in?
No.
I would think, I kind of like the purple.
A little bit of purple, and that's what I'm kind of thinking, that's their
Mix
main
up the
color.
gold, the purple.
Some more purple?
Because well, I mean, yeah, that's their main color is purple.
Well, we have an
They're one of the
opportunity
only
with-
purple schools we have, I think, so I think that would be good, put more purple in it.
Okay.
Behind the reception desk, we have a focus wall that we can.
Yeah, I know, all these TC people like purple, but, I mean, I think that the carpet could be purple instead of gold.
Or I was
and-
even wondering in those tiles, if you used some purple shade instead of.
Imagine that we're own colors.
But isn't there a
No
lot
one's
throughout
surprised.
isn't there a lot of purple throughout the school?
Lockers.
Yeah, the lockers, yes,
Yeah.
so that really.
So
was-
in the context of the
That's-
whole school, it
yeah.
won't look
Yeah,
like there's
that's-
not enough purple. I mean, it'll feel like there's plenty of purple.
I think
No,
we keep-
okay.
I think in this library, we can find some accent walls to bring that
Okay.
purple in there
Yeah.
and tie it all
Yeah.
together.
And the red in Highland, because I mean,
Same
they're
thing.
using a lot of the blue, but, the
Yeah.
gold, but, I mean, Highland's red and blue. There any problem with putting some red in there?
there's enough walls in there and angles, we could figure something to make it look right.
I think that was
All right, do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
I was gonna just brief you on the schedule. Currently, we are anticipating going out for proposals the first week in November, and then receive proposals the first week in December, and hopefully bring it to you at the December board meeting for awards. So that's our schedule.
You're
We've
gonna
met
bid-
with both jurisdictions, and they've given us good feedback, so we're anticipating being able to move forward.
You're gonna bid in December? I mean,
Yes.
bid prior to the board meeting, you're gonna come with
Yes, we
the
receive
award?
bids the first week in December.
Okay. Okay.
So that hopefully that they can get started. We talked about today the goal of trying to get started first week of February, with the construction in the library, having a little self-contained footprint for the construction group, and then move into the admin space, the current admin space in the summer to be the library in the summer. But we're reviewing that with some contractors to make sure scope-wise that can be achievable
With a completion goal of
first week of August.
first week of August, before school starts.
I would have bet my life on it a year, or let me say 3 years ago, we could do the whole thing in the summer, but now with the labor shortage and stuff, we want to be real, collaborate with those contractors to make sure that they can get the labor necessary to do it in time. So that's what we're in the process of doing currently.
So they would be without a library for February, right?
The first
For-
semester.
It would probably, logistically, we'd start moving them in January, start moving the books out, getting all that prepped so that we can start construction in February. It comes August the 2nd, that 3rd, 4th is a weekend. Hopefully that's the 2nd is our completion. Logistically, then move the library back in there so when they start on Monday, whatever that number, the 6th, that they would have a library. We'll hire a company to do that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have a few more things if you'd like me to
Sure, no, please
continue.
go ahead.
Marine Creek Middle School progress from a week ago. Here's some aerials. You can see how we're moving overall on the project. The gym's coming together. You can see the white with the blue little ceiling accents. That's the front of the gym, the front drive. Area E, which is cafeteria, which the stage area, highlighting that. You can see the amount of work that's going on there, and you see the sheetrock on site, so they will start roughing that in and continue on that process. You can see back in the back left, the tile for the kitchen area is also installed. There it is, the serving area, and it's got the 4 different colors, schemes in it. And just another picture of the kitchen. Then outside on area E, like on the back side. The hallway between E and F. So if you come in to the gym, this is what you would see all the way down, looking almost to Hollenstein. There's a big hallway all the way down. To your left, where you see the CMU block, that is the fine arts area, and to the right is the cafeteria. That is the long hallway that connects everything. And that's just the front of the band and choir, have its windows in, brick and stone. There's just a big overview of A, B, and C, and they still need, hopefully the rain will stop and we can pour some concrete in area C on the upstairs, and then do the mezzanines also in B and C. Oh, went wrong way. And then area 1 in administration, just give you an idea how that's coming, how the walls are coming together, the stairwell.
Is the layout the same as they were doing for Creekview and Highland?
We tried to replicate that as much as we can, such as you can see the little learning wall right there next to the stairwell. We tried to incorporate that. Of course, we have a bigger volume of space here, But we were very pleased with Creekview, the amount of 11'3", I think, is we got a little more height than we thought we could. Because the current library is very tall, it's about 13 or 14 feet, and now you're going to it, when you see the ceiling, it's 9 foot, but as soon as we move those ceiling tiles out, we're gonna be able to get 11 foot in there to give us a little more volume than we thought. And this upstairs, just looking, this is the upstairs floor. And then area A, just the windows are going in, the brick, the decking, the framing. It's just, there's science labs, that's in area B, first floor, second floor. You can see it's poured, but we still need to pour the mezzanine up there by the roof area. And then area C, the 6th grade classrooms, which is what I'd call it, but as we move from right to left, you can see that the gyms are more finished than area C. And we need to put the paving in, which we waited because it was getting so hot, there was no need to pave it in August. So we're gonna get back on that. And that's our trendy well going in, so they've been working on it about 3 weeks. So about 1,200 feet of 12-inch casing, then they come back and find out where exactly the water's gonna be the best, and they'll bore again, like a 17-inch casing. So they're still working on that.
Since the water ran out at the 2 wells at Boswell or the other aquifers, how are they finding it there? Or is
Well,
it
they'll
they
use
have to go
electronic,
deeper, or-
there's a flow meter that they'll use, and they'll find the best flow in that area between 1,200 feet. And that's where they'll come back and set the well. So they'll find the best flow that we can get.
Will the water be better or different than what we pulled out of Boswell?
I would hope so, but it's when we're drilling a well, there's a little bit of chance involved in that. Now, this is a little bit further to the east than Boswell, so the water's deeper and there's more plentiful, but it's kind of in between. So we'll just have to keep monitoring that and see what we're gonna end up getting. We don't know what the flow is yet. I haven't heard as of today. How many gallons we think we'll get a minute.
How much?
I said I don't know yet. I'll have to.
What are they expecting?
We were hoping up to 80, but we'll see. And then that's the football field. It continues to rain on it every time we turn around, so. So it's still a puddle. Any questions on this project? You know, obviously it's rained a little bit, so we've lost a little bit of time on that, so we're going to have to make up some time.
They still feel good about the completion now, and then, I mean,
Around May 1st, or somewhere along in
still
there.
got a ways to go.
So we're almost a little under 50%, but I'm not worried about it right now at this point at all. The last thing I have is just to kind of review the timeline for this middle school, the rezoning of the middle school zones. Probably may affect at least 5 of them, possibly 6. Just a kind of a review of a schedule for your consideration. Tonight, I obviously talked to you about it, but I need to meet with Bob on October the 2nd is the plan, and kind of review that and see how we can balance them out the best we can to extend it as far as we can before we have to build another middle school, and still keeping that thought of your peer feeder patterns with the high schools. So we will try to work that and do the best we can to extend that as far as we can, and also it needs to make sense. We'll come back next month and give you a report on our progress, and then I'll go to 2 locations and have a meeting, and we'll talk to the parents and show them what our plans are and get their input, which is what we've done in the past, and we've made modifications sometimes we haven't. So we just consider what their input is, because we might have missed something or something just didn't make sense. And then in November, we'll come back with our presentation, and December for action.
Is a good timeline you're sharing with us, has it already been shared with the public? Do they already know anything about this, Megan or Clete?
We wanted to discuss it, we wanted to
wanna
talk to you all about it before we brought it to the public, so if you feel good about this, then we'll move forward with communications.
Or we can change it. And
We didn't want to prematurely put information out there.
Right,
without y'all
okay.
seeing it.
Is that, do y'all feel comfortable that 2 meetings and the timeline between the board meetings is that our board meeting, I guess, the 12th of November?
yes. If we feel like we need another one, we still have a,
I feel like
That's
it would too.
kinda- that's
I
kinda
thought that
close.
when I read it. I mean, because I don't think still start the process, but if we move it to January as the goal, I think that
Is the action
gives you a
item.
little bit more,
I think we should give the public a little more time.
Okay,
I don't think we're
okay.
rushing that attendance.
especially with it being around the holidays,
Yeah.
people may miss it. And
I would think we would need to do it before Christmas because we start the registration process. And what's the earliest you do that, Anthony? Okay. So we want to use January to communicate what it is, to make sure there's any questions. So we certainly can, maybe make the recommendation.
Well, I guess if you're bringing it to November 12th, that's still another month for them, for any
If you would,
people that want to give us input, that gives
Yes,
them
sir.
another month to give us feedback, and then we'll take action in December.
and if you feel comfortable, we can give you an update on November 12th with options, with a final coming to you in a report, and we would just send that to you to review with action. Typically, we don't want to bring a report and action at the same time
Right.
on something like this, but we could give you an update on November the 12th, even if we're in the process of gaining feedback, and then sending you a final recommendation prior to the December 17th board meeting.
So that's kind of what you have here. You're just saying that the 12th may not necessarily be a recommendation. It may just be.
Well,
a
originally, I
report out.
think it was going to be a recommendation. What I'm saying is that we could just give you an update, and then a recommendation, a final report would come sometime between then and December 17th, just in an update to you with the final recommendation coming in December 17th. We can just give you,
I
How would
think that's
we-
a formality. I mean, that piece of it, I'm more concerned
Yeah.
about making sure the parents have a chance to respond and
Sure.
the community feels like we heard them. And so,
if we wait till January, the challenge will be is that we would have to turn that around in 2-3 weeks.
Well, we get your play it by ear. I mean, this is the timeline we can shoot for. And a lot of it, depends, I guess, on what you hear that is on the 25th and the 30th from your Creekview and Wilkie.
It'll impact Wayside also, for sure, and it'll impact Prairie Vista.
I don't want to be overly optimistic, but a number of the areas that would feed into Marine Creek, logically, they already know they're going. In fact, that's a conversation. We've had some transfers that have been requested, knowing that they'll be going there in a year, and wanting to get closer to the school, which is, sometimes people do that. That's what they want to do. But we've heard conversation about it. Not to say that there won't be people that won't want their neighborhoods to move, but in many cases, it's logical, especially the area immediately around the school.
So is Wayside and Prairie Vista going to be invited to?
Yes.
I mean, obviously would be, but I
Yes,
mean, they're
yes,
just going to.
Any affected student
Yeah.
would be contacted. Parents would be contacted.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Okay.
Thank you.
That it? Anything else, Clete?
No, sir.
Dr. Parker's going to say, let's see, Clete had from 5:18 to 6:15.
Oh, yeah, and like an hour.
Almost
I've
to an
never
hour.
done an hour.
Part of this too, just one other thing,
Sure.
Mr. President, is that we had the meeting with Bob Templeton on there. That really plays a big part in this. We want to get the last minute data before we start setting the lines, knowing that there's a lot changing as new neighborhoods come in. So it's, the window is smaller, but part of that is just the nature of wanting to get as much information as possible before we make the final determinations for the attendance boundaries. So.
All right. It is currently 6:15 PM on September 24th, 2018. This board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meeting Act: 551.071, consultation with attorney; 551.072, deliberating purchase or exchange of real property; 551.074, deliberating the appointment, employment, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee; 551.075, purpose of deliberations regarding deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or devices; and 551.082, considering discipline of a public school child or complaint or charge against personnel. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District.
The board is reconvening the public meeting on September 24th, 2018 at 7:03 PM and will now consider the subjects set forth in the posted agenda. Welcome to our September meeting. I'm glad to have you here. We're going to have Ed Wilkie Middle School do our opening. So, Danny Knowles. And students.
Thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Chadwell, and members of the board. We are honored to be in your presence tonight to conduct the opening ceremonies of this board meeting. I want to take a minute to introduce you to some pretty amazing students who happen to attend, probably it is the best middle school in the history of life, as we like to say, Ed Wilkie Middle School. That's kind of our unwritten motto, and we believe it with all our heart. I want to introduce you to these students. All these students are part of our newly founded Renaissance Club that we have. It is an offshoot of our Foundations class, which is a class that we offer for all of our students that focuses on social emotional learning as well as academic support. And the Renaissance sole purpose is really just to build a positive climate and culture and celebrate every student at every level in our school. So a lot of times we, just celebrate our athletes and, our academics, but there are kids that do amazing things all day, and these kids are part of a group that are designed to help celebrate all those kids. So if y'all want to step on up here so I can introduce you. First of all, I have Ashlyn Parker. Ashlyn, if your parents will please stand up for us. Ashlyn, her parents are Dustin and Melanie Parker, and Ashlyn is very involved in her school. She's a 7th grader who is part of not only the Renaissance Club, but also the Builders Club. She is in band, theater, and she enjoys cooking and crafts as well. So thank you for being here, Ashlyn, and thank you for allowing her to come. Next I have, this young man is Zachary Daniels. His parents are Chris and Jordan Morton, and also Walter Daniels Jr. If y'all would stand up for me. And also, I want grandparents that came today, just honor them as well to be a part of this. So thank you for being here. Zach, he is a percussionist in our band, and he's also participates in cross country, football, baseball outside of school, Builders Club, Renaissance Club, and that's probably just a few of the things that he does. So he does a lot of amazing things. So why don't you step over here by Ashlyn. And then I have these two young ladies behind me. This is Claire Dooley and Caroline Dooley. If your mom would stand up, this is Marcy Dooley. You might know Miss Dooley there. She is a chemistry teacher at the best high school in history of life, Chisholm Trail High School. Just want to say that. And Miss Dooley, if you will turn around for me real quick. Oh yeah, see the Renaissance, it's spreading, it's going everywhere, so thank you. And that's Brother Connor over there who is he a senior this year? Junior this year at Chisholm Trail High School. So Claire is an 8th grader at Ed Wilkie Middle School, and she is part of our volleyball team. She's also heavily involved in choir, in JHS, the Renaissance Club, student council, she's been in student council prior to this, cross country, and she is heavily involved in her youth group at Lighthouse Fellowship Church. And we have her sister Caroline. Caroline is, she is on student council, youth group at Lighthouse Fellowship Church, Renaissance, cross country soccer, basketball, and choir. So as you can tell, these students are heavily involved, and we are very proud of everything that they're doing at Ed Wilkie Middle School. So thank you very much. The Dooley sisters are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to use this.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Now, can you all please join me for a moment of silence? You all may sit down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed Wilkie Middle School, for opening this up. Megan, you have some special introductions.
I do. I have the best part of the meeting where we get to celebrate students and staff as part of our monthly recognitions. First up, we have a very special recognition. Miss Tracy Huff, registered nurse at Creekview Middle School. Nurse Huff. We've asked Nurse Huff here to embarrass her for doing her job and doing it very, very well. So back in May of 2018, she was called to the cafeteria at lunchtime because there was a student in the cafeteria who was choking. When she arrived, a substitute teacher was already attending to the child, and that child became non-responsive. Nurse Huff jumped in. She immediately began CPR while the safety team brought the AED and called 911. She was able to revive the student without the use of the AED, and then paramedics arrived and were able to take that child on. Our nurses, we hear these stories regularly of our nurses and our staff making life-saving efforts, and we just wanted to bring her in and thank her and the safety team at Creekview Middle School. And Auntie is here as well, just for loving kids and doing the right thing. So thank you very much. Cheryl, is there anything else you want to add to that about our program? We have a very strong health services program, and we're just thankful to have them in our schools every day. We have a certificate for you and for your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy, for what you do for all our kids. Tracy, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I saw Miss A sitting back there, so when Danny was going on about Ed Wilkie, I didn't know you were even in the room.
We don't talk about it.
Okay.
Just take care of things.
All right. I want to give her a fair chance.
I think it's safe to say we.
Okay.
I think it's safe to say we have the best schools ever in EMSIC.
There you
How
go.
about that? All of our schools. Next up, we have a very special surprise recognition. We have representatives from Modern Woodmen of America who are here to present a surprise Hometown Hero Award to someone very special in this room. So this time, bring me forward. Everyone's on pins and needles wanting to know who it is, right?
It's not me.
Here to begin? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Crystal Hetrick, and I am with Modern Woodmen Fraternal Financial. We are a fraternal company, which simply means we give back to the community, or to the communities we operate in. Tonight, I want to recognize someone that has been the epitome, I was using your worm words there, of a great leader, a role model, and someone that I aspired to be like. Your words, remember who you are and who you represent, are always with me. I want you to know that the person you are has not gone unrecognized. I also want to express my appreciation for who you are. And Dr. Parker, would you please accept this Hometown Hero Award? She will. And you will also get $100 to donate to the charity of your choice.
All right. Community link will be most appreciative.
Okay.
Gosh, totally caught me off guard. I saw these two folks. I didn't really see Crystal. I just saw them. And so Crystal and I go way back. I was her English teacher and sponsor of many things when I was working in Boyd High School. So we've kept in touch through Facebook and been friends. And I'm just honored. Thank you so much. We're in the best profession in the world. Nobody else gets that great stuff. So thank you so much. Thank y'all. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick photo.
All right.
That's all.
Sure.
Thank y'all so much also for letting us do this.
Thank you. We have a couple, we do have some special introductions that are coming up, but people that were here for the opening ceremonies, you're welcome to, you're not going to
just get up and go whenever you feel like it. So stay the whole time, get up and go, we're good.
Take off.
Take off while they're getting the picture made.
Congratulations. President Newcomb, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board, I am pleased to introduce two members of our HR Student Services team. So thrilled. First of all, we have Director of Student Services, Mr. Kenneth Anderson, and so he comes to us from a neighboring district east of us, so we stole him. So he most recently was principal at an alternative campus there, New Direction High School. And then we stole Miss Andrea White. She is going to be our Director of Compliance and Policy. So we did a title change on that, but it was our other Director in Student Services. And so she is coming to us from a neighboring district in the east as well. So assistant principal for a long time. So we're just thrilled to invite both of those people to our team, and they've already hit the ground running. So excited for you all to get to know them and meet them. So a warm welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Dawkins, and welcome to the district. No one's signed up to address the board, so we'll move to the action items. The first one is to set the special meeting for the superintendent appraisal.
Mr. President, we're tentatively scheduled for Thursday, November 15th for the superintendent's appraisal. So I would entertain a motion to set that date.
So moved.
Motion by Paige, second by Liz, to set the superintendent appraisal for Thursday, November 15th at 5 p.m. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? There are none. Motion carries 7-0. Next is to approve the resolution for credit by exam audit process.
Good evening, Mr. Newcomb, board members, Dr. Chadwell. TEA now requires us to present a resolution for you all to approve for credit by exempt audit process, and I will read that to you. It deals with kindergarten through grade 5, whereas 19 Texas Administrative Code 74.24B1 provides that a board of trustees must approve an audit process for credit by exam assessments used for kindergarten through grade 5 acceleration. Credit by exam assessments used by Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District are developed by the University of Texas at Austin and/or Texas Tech University. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District, by adoption of this resolution, has determined that the university's certification and audit demonstrates that the examinations accurately and appropriately assess a student's knowledge and skills of the TEKS for the relevant grade level. And also in your packet on page 124, you're going to see that there is a summary of the credit by exam results for 2017 and 18 that our district administered to our students. We have to do it 4 times a year, and we do fall and spring, and the summer has 2 different sessions. And we gave 22 exams this past year for acceleration. And as you look at the data, we also gave some credit recovery. But when you look at the data, 10 of the students who took our acceleration courses did pass and earn credit for it to go on their transcript. And the majority of those students are our Spanish students, because most of them are your native Spanish speakers. That way they can earn credit for high school credit there. Any questions on this?
Dr. Jones was presenting report F and action item B at the same time, just why she's referring back.
That's on page 153.
So the action item is on page 153. She read the resolution for credit by exam audit process. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve it.
I move for the board to approve resolution for credit by exam audit process as presented.
Second.
Motion by Liz, second by Marilyn. Any questions on that? Concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, and there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Jones. Next is also a multitasking individual. We're going to hear report H, and then we're going to go to action item C, is to consider approving changes to policy DEC local.
Okay, as you can see from your information that policy DEC local was recently revised and approved by the board in March of 18. Subsequently, the district received a letter from TASB dated June 19th, 2018, in which they recommended a slight revision of wording entitled pay status to clarify the intent of the policy that addresses when paid leave is available. I'm just going to draw your attention to that page. That's page 6 of 9 of DEC local.
132.
And 161.
And
It's all right, we got it.
sorry.
Thank- Everybody got it? Okay.
Got it? Okay. Additionally, in the section reimbursement for leave upon separation, it is recommended that employees having at least 5 years of service in the district be compensated for unused local leave without requiring advance written notice.
That was a change we chose to make, not mandated by
Yes, sir.
TASB.
Right. And
Any
that's on
questions
that
on
final
the
page of DEC.
changes?
local.
Any other comments, Dr. Dalton? We have the summary of the changes in red. All right. Hearing no other questions, the Chair will entertain a motion to approve policy DEC local as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Donna,
Second.
second by Liz, to approve the policy. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, and there are none, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Dawkins. You also have the next, consider approving the staffing proposal.
Yes, sir. The administration is making the following recommendations for new and modified positions to address our growth and program enhancements. The first position is the Director of Operations, and actually, we initially came forward with that position as an additional construction manager. We have felt the need to support our Chief Operations with supervising bond and then additional duties in operations. And so we would classify this position as an AM7. And what we are asking is we would add additional local funds to that position. The other position that we're bringing forward tonight for consideration, a new position, as an administrative assistant to the director of the foundation. And that would be an admin support pay grade 6, and it would be a 235 calendar to support our director. And then our campus security specialist, we've spoken about this. In order to be competitive with the job market, we felt the need to raise the starting salary. We were really finding it a challenge to find quality people for that position. And so we are requesting a reclassification of that position from a pay grade 2 to a pay grade 4. And then also additional days. The initial position was a calendar that was the same calendar as students, so it didn't allow for either the campus principal or Dr. Baker to work with those people before school started in preparation for the school. So while we're doing the reclass, we also are requesting additional days.
I move we approve the 2018-2019 staffing proposal as presented.
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Liz or Marilyn? Liz? Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? See none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, and there are none? Did you get that, Becky? It was Paige and Liz? Paige and Liz. Okay, thanks. Next action item is to consider approving a resolution of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD Board of Trustees supporting the negotiations of all necessary agreements between the district, the city of Fort Worth, and the YMCA of Metropolitan Fort Worth for development and operations at a joint use community center and auditorium and YMCA facility. Chad?
Yes, as you are aware, as we put the bond package together and you approved that bond package to go before voters in November of 2017, we endeavored to go in cooperation with the YMCA to put an auditorium facility in a cooperative space. We committed $5 million plus the property that the YMCA would be on. Since that time, we've continued to work with the YMCA. They've been very cooperative. It's gone very well. But also this summer, in part of the Fort Worth bond program, Fort Worth has endeavored to put $6 million towards the project. We've met together and ensured that our needs of the facility and the parameters we've already set forth with the Y would not be affected. We feel confident that this would be a good collaborative project and that would not impede any of the things that we plan to do. Brett Parker's been involved, Steve Griffin, Clete Welch, Jim Shealy, me, and we've been meeting again ongoing to do that. One of the things that Fort Worth asked for is a resolution, and that resolution helps them in their work with other groups, such as the Fort Worth Parks Department, which has its own governing board to ensure that the school district is committed to the project. I did mention that, our commitment as the board approving that as one of the bond projects and that being voted on by our voters, obviously we're committed to the project, but they wanted to make sure that this partnership that includes them would be acceptable as well. So we've put the resolution together, and if it's okay with the board, I will not read the resolution, but I will entertain a motion or answer any questions regarding this.
I move we approve the resolution of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD Board of Trustees supporting the negotiation of all necessary agreements between the district, the city of Fort Worth, and the YMCA of Metropolitan Fort Worth for development and operation of a joint use community center, natatorium, and YMCA facility as presented.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Paige. The resolution is in your minutes, and I'm sure you've already looked at it, so without any corrections. Anybody from the Y here tonight?
I do not believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Linda is on the Y board, if there's questions, maybe from that level, Linda could answer questions.
I don't know if there are any. None? All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Next is also a multitasking individual. Dr. Parker is going to be presenting report E regarding action item F, which is consider approving the 18-19 Student Initiative Officer Interlocal Agreement with the City of Fort Worth.
Dr. Baker wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm presenting in his place. As you know, we have two interlocal agreements for SRO service, one with Saginaw and one with Fort Worth. We, tonight, on page 105, you will find in the board report, you will find all information regarding our interlocal agreement with Fort Worth. Later, hopefully next month, we'll be able to bring the one with Saginaw. Currently, the district utilizes 5 Fort Worth school resource officers at Boswell High School, Chisholm Trail High School, Creekview Middle School, Prairie Vista Middle School, and Ed Wilkie Middle School for a total cost of $414,167.85. This year, there is a 1% cost decrease from the 2017-18 year, which saves us about $2,907.36. This is for information only. In your board packet, you have a breakdown by officer as well as the cost comparison from 2018-19, comparing it to last year, and the Student Initiative Officer Interlocal Agreement with the city. On page 171 in the board action items, it's a recommendation for your approval.
I move we approve the 2018-2019 Student Initiative Officer Interlocal Agreement with the City of Fort Worth as presented.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Paige to approve it. I have one question before we approve it. So is Keller getting this 1 full-time and 4 part-times for the same price as we get 5 part-times? Or is that, did I misread the chart?
I will get the specifics for that and put it in this week's board update.
Okay. I mean, we get what we get. I just was curious that it appeared from the chart in the presentation that was in the report anyway, that Keller had the same price as us, but had a full-time officer.
I will get clarification because I do not know.
I'm curious about that because I know,
Looks like they considerably upped their police presence or their SRO presence because their cost went from a little bit to the same as ours.
right.
I was just curious. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Motion carries 7-0. Our next action item is to accept the donation of a trailer for the Boswell High School Band Program from the Boswell High School Band Booster Club. Jane's doing this, right?
No, this is a 1998 Kentucky 53-foot trailer. It would be a replacement for their existing trailer. It has passed the state inspection and has been inspected for quality by Kaiser Tire. Mr. Bell is here to answer any specific questions you may have about the donation.
We're good with the trailer? It's been checked out and
Yes, sir. It's a trailer that's been purchased from Lone Star Truck and Trailer. It's been refurbished completely. Just as of last week, the refurbished condition of the trailer was completed, and it's been painted a gloss black base, and so the boosters are donating the trailer to the district, and then they will move forward to wrap the trailer in the next few days and hopefully put it to use. If you all are acceptable with this donation, this coming weekend for their first band show in the HEB marching contest.
So that means we have two?
They have a 48-foot existing trailer.
Okay.
In which they plan to continue to use for prop storage and some things of that nature. But this trailer will be used to transport the instruments and be their primary trailer.
So we have required that the second trailer remain inspected and that it will remain mobile. And so although it will be used for storage, it will also be flexible in the case that it needed to be used. So it'll remain street worthy.
Yes, and if there's any hiccup before the newly donated trailer is ready for use, their current trailer has been inspected and is good to go, and they can still continue to use that.
is the cost to maintain them and keep them up going to be the school districts or the booster club?
The cost to maintain them is the
Once
school
we-
district.
once we accept the trailer?
Yes, sir, with the exception of any type of aesthetics. So
Like the
wrapping the trailer or any kind of internal structures, customizations remains. This is something we talked about. We actually looked at what other districts are doing, and we've noticed that many are going to a second trailer to allow that. We have been not supportive of pod storage because it's not mobile as like a trailer. And so in lieu of that, we've been okay with the trailer concept because it is wrapped, it is accessible, and it is something that we can use in case another trailer in the district goes down. Or in some cases, what we're seeing is an expansion. I think we'll see a time where they'll be moving two trailers to events, going the direction that we're going. So I did want to comment that the Booster Club, they raised how much in how many days? It was pretty impressive. You remember off the
They
top of your head?
literally raised approximately $30,000 in a one-day time frame.
Really stepped up on this. And the gentleman that works with the boosters and has a child in the program did review this. And again, you see Lone Star Trucking on there, but also we use Kaiser. And so Kaiser is who we use for inspections. And so we did a secondary inspection to make sure it's up to speed for us.
So they checked wheel bearings, axle,
Yes, ma'am.
tires, all the...
Yeah, Curtis Moore at Kaiser,
Okay.
when I called him on Friday, he said this trailer is in fine condition and good to go, and should serve our students for years to come.
Good. I move we accept the donation of the trailer as presented.
Second.
Motion by Page, second by Dick to accept the donation of trailer to from the Boswell Band Booster Club to the band program. Any questions? See none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. How many trailers do the other two bands have, just so I know?
Chisholm Trail has 2 and
Uh-huh.
Saginaw has 1, but Saginaw also has some additional storage, is that correct?
Saginaw is working on an additional trailer for storage as we speak. Their trailer is newer, has more miles available, and it's a newer model than the original Boswell Chisholm Trail trailers. So they were at that point where they needed to upgrade, but Saginaw feels like they've still got some mileage on theirs left to go. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the report items now, and we've covered some of them, but we're going to pick it right back up with report C, the 17-18 advanced placement results and dual credit report. Stacy, welcome.
All right, good evening, Mr. Newcomb and board. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm very excited to present our 2017-2018 Advanced Placement Report to you tonight. We'll emphasize our participation and also our data that shows some pretty amazing results for this year. In this process, I work very closely with Lori Mabry. Lori is, as you know, our new Advanced Academics and GT Coordinator for the district. We are very thankful to have her with us, and she was very instrumental in analyzing the data with me and putting this report together, so I could not do this without her help at all. Everything that we do when we're analyzing our data, we take a look at definitely our Aspire 2022, and so that we show alignment with that, and definitely our Advanced Academics and Gifted and Talented program fully aligns with Strategy 4, where we're looking to challenge our students with rigorous instruction and helping them meet their fullest potential. And as part of the data analysis, we're evaluating all of our processes in our current program. So things that we will review tonight. We will take a look at our participation in not only advanced placement, but also in our dual credit program. We've seen some pretty exciting results with that as well. We'll look at our performance in comparison to the state and the global data. We have lots of opportunities for celebrations, and then we'll look at action plans for areas for growth. When we begin looking at our data, we look first at our participation rates by our 3 high schools, Boswell, Chisholm Trail, and Saginaw. And when we're looking at participation rates, we take the total number of our students enrolled in those AP courses, and then we divide that out by the number of students who actually took the test. As you can see, our participation rates between the 3 campuses are rather close. Those gaps between campuses have closed this year, and we're tighter in our percent of students who actually took the exam in the spring. We also can't leave out our 5 middle schools who play a significant role in our AP Spanish exams. All 5 of our middle schools did exceptionally well in our participation rate and our performance rate. So when we look overall at our participation rates, I broke that down and we looked at that as far as the content areas, and we broke that down by English, AP Capstone, Fine Arts, Math, Computer Science, Science, Social Science, History, and then our world languages. Our AP Capstone was new to us this past year, where we added AP Seminar, and then this year we're offering AP Research. Those are pretty unique courses in that they're not necessarily content-based. They focus more on skills and looking more at those reasoning, inquiry, problem-solving, research, presentation type of skills that go above and beyond what are offered in the content areas. So if you look across the board, our participation rates, in especially English and Fine Arts, are doing very well. Our AP Capstone for the first year, we had over half the students participate by taking the exam. Our Fine Arts is doing exceptionally well. We'll give credit where credit's due to Mr. Bell for the work that he's doing in Fine Arts. And overall, then our world languages also, which our middle school participation numbers are included in that. That gives us a total of 58% 2,509 students actually took the AP exams in this last spring. When we're looking and comparing that to last year's participation rates, we are down. However, our performance is increased, and then that's why I'm bringing in also our dual credit data, because I think that really complements what we're doing as far as offering students opportunities to obtain college credit. So, while we did drop some in our performance rate, we were 69% last year in participation, and we're in that 58% range this year. However, our dual credit numbers have significantly increased. Dual credit differs from advanced placement. They have some similarities, but they also have some differences. They both provide students with the opportunity to earn college credit. Our dual credit courses, we have those taken at CTE, through some of our CTE courses. We also have opportunities in the summer for students to take dual credit, and then we also have those offered during the school year. Mariela Alvarado and I, our Director of Counseling, are working together to really run more consistent numbers and how our dual credit numbers are reported. But we are extremely excited to show this year's numbers. As you can see, broken down by the data, we had a significant number of students who took advantage of earning that credit. Students who take dual credit can either qualify as far as their TSI scores are considered to be able to take those courses. Students who earn a certain score on ACT and SAT also can bypass that TSI. They are both taught at the high school, or some go on and take them at the campus. And then our advanced placement students receive credit by teachers who have been trained by College Board, and then they take those here. We even have some students who opt to take tests and did not go through the course, which I'll highlight that here shortly. Needless to say, our numbers in dual credit participation, while I said AP participation is somewhat decreased, dual credit is increased. The best that we have estimated with all of our record keeping, we have gone from 371 students in the 2016-17 school year to 933 students taking dual credit courses in the 17-18 year. I'm very excited about that. Our current enrollment, the best Mariela and I can tell at this time, is over 1,100 students taking dual credit courses now. So I think we're providing the best of both worlds, that we have students who are taking those advanced placement courses that align with our College Board, and then we have students also earning college credit as far as through TCC. Dr. Chadwell and I were talking about this recently, and we really attribute the increase in dual credit participation because of the partnership and relationships that have really been very positive over the recent years with TCC. And I think the advisement piece through our counselors and teachers is really playing a significant role in helping guide our students on which path. We have students who go all AP or all dual credit, or we have a mixture of both. And I think it really depends on the student's vision and where they want to go, and their college experiences and their majors and things like that all affect those decisions.
Just to clarify, the 933 may be the same student counted multiple times because they may take 2 or 3, right? Dual credits?
That's correct. All right, so moving on from our participation, we'll take a look at our performance rates, which we are pleased. When we're taking a look at our performance rates, you know that the AP exams range in scores from 1 to 5, 5 showing a student's that a student is well qualified and ready to advance and take those college courses at the university level. Students obtain credit by earning a 3, 4, or a 5. You can see by comparing Boswell, Chisholm Trail, and Saginaw, we are really looking to peak out at those 3, 4s, and 5s. If you look at our data, we're pretty tight along the 2s. And as far as a comparison among the 3 campuses, we do have more 2s than we're satisfied with. We definitely want to decrease that number and elevate the number of 3, 4s, and 5s. But I think you'll see shortly that we have accomplished that from last year's data to this year's. When scores of comparison, AP College Board helps run data as far as district and compared to the state scores and the global scores. At the international level, United States, Canada, and well over 100 countries are eligible. They participate in the advanced placement program. So we're looking at our overall average of all of our advanced placement scores, and we are above the state level. I'm still trying to catch up with that global mean, but very pleased that we are definitely above our state level. This gives a different visual as far as looking at our data. It's taking our 3 high schools and then comparing in that green and yellow to the mean AP score as far as global and state. If you can see, we are definitely doing very well in our fine arts and our world languages. Our English is creeping up there. We're still paying some close attention to our science and social studies data, and we'll have some action plans shortly to explain that. Broken down as far as campuses and looking at our mean scores, you will see that 2 of our high schools are above our state mean, and Saginaw High School is right equal, so we are very proud of that accomplishment. There are middle schools, very proud of what our native speakers do in our advanced placement Spanish course at the middle school level, where they are, their average is above both the state and the global. I like this slide because it contains several pockets of green, and green is what we like to see because that also is what I use to compare us to the state mean as far as our AP scores. And if you look consistently at all 3 of our campuses, we're doing well in our English and our fine arts, and then also in our math and computer science, and definitely our world languages. Still have some growth and areas to look at as far as social studies, and I did, yep, we got it. Science and social studies are the 2 areas that we are striving to gain growth in above the state. The next few slides highlight our high school campuses as far as how they fared in their total numbers of 3s, 4s, and 5s, which is where we want our students to be able to obtain that college credit. This is looking at the percentage of total AP students who earned a 3, 4, or a 5, and it's going back to some historical views of our data going back to 2014. As you can see, Boswell took a dip there in 2015, 2016, and 2017, but I want you to look at that nice blue bar going from 2017 to 2018, where Boswell rose from 37% of the students taking the test earning a 3 or above, and they are now up at the 52%, right even with our state. So that's significant growth for Boswell. The total number of students earning or students taking AP exams earning a 3, 4, or 5 was 458. Looking at Chisholm Trail High School, tracking data back to 2014, you can also see that going back from the early stages of 2014, there have been improvements, just significant increases along the way. And in this past year, the percentage of 3s, 4s, and 5s on the AP exams at Chisholm grew from 44 to 54%. And at Chisholm, that broke down to 371 students earning a 3, 4, or a 5 on AP exams. And then looking at Saginaw High School, you can see 2014 doing right there compared with the state, pretty close. Took a dip in 2015, started making some growth in 2016 and 2017, and they continue to increase where we are in 2018 at 50% of the students earning 3s, 4s, or 5s. That breaks down to 348 students. Breaking the data down just a little bit more as far as content area, going back to historical data as well and comparison, making comparisons with the state and the global data. If you look, you can see that we made, in English as a district, we had an increase from 2017 to 2018 in that mean scores. Not quite our highest point, we're just right there, just right under 2014. but definitely above our state in closing that gap, reaching the global. If you take a look at science, I marked that 2.74 in blue because that is our high peak. That's our since 2013. Our average on our science advanced placement test 2.74, which puts us also at an increase from 2017 and still above the state level. Looking at our math content, also in blue, we have peaked out again at the district since 2013 at 2.89, and we are creeping up on the state in math and still has some gains to go in as far as our global comparisons, but did show a significant increase from 2017 to 2018. Then looking at our social studies, also again had a significant increase from 2017 to 2018 and also above the state and not too far behind the global mean as well in the social studies AP courses. Fine arts is definitely a shining star in our data this year. We have, I marked that one in blue because not only are we averaging above the state, but also the global data as well. So as you can see, it's a nice time to be able to present this data to you as a board. We have many things to celebrate. We break that down and we classify our scholars, our AP scholars, as far as with distinction, honor, and AP scholars, and then national. And that is all dependent upon, those rankings are based on the number of advanced placement tests that a student obtains. At the national AP level, scholar level, we had three students from Saginaw and 5 from Boswell receiving that honor, and they scored a 3 or higher on at least 8 full-year exams with a GPA of 4.0. Looking at our AP scholars with distinction, students earn a 3 or above on 5 or more tests, and you can see we are well represented from all 3 of our high school campuses. 44 AP scholars with honors, once again, very tight between the 3 campuses there, and we have a significant achievement in that area, and that is our students with honors have a 3, 4, or 5 on 4 or more AP exams. And then our last 150 AP scholars, well represented from across the high schools in the district, and those recognize our students earning a 3, 4, or 5 on 3 or more AP exams. Something also worthy to note, when we were digging through the data and sorting the reports this summer, very, very excited that we had a student, graduate of Chisholm Trail High School now, who took 16 advanced placement courses in between 2015 through 2018. That student earned a 3, 4, or 5 on 15 of those 16 advanced placement exams. One test the student retook, that Physics C, and retook that test, but that student very well prepared and entered college or university level probably about at a junior level, so, or very close. So we were very, very, very proud of that particular celebration for sure. I think across the board, we look at our increase in our district numbers of 4s and 5s. Very excited about that, definite increase, and I'm very, very proud of our fine arts, as I've mentioned, and our middle school participation. Where do we go from here? Definitely we want to capitalize on the strengths of our data for this year, but there are areas that we need to continue to monitor and oversee for this next year. We definitely want to keep an eye on our participation rates, but then we also want to help with that advisement piece, working with counseling and teachers on campus and advising students if they should be taking an AP or dual credit course. We definitely want to continue to build upon the positives of this year's data. Definitely have plans in place to continue with our training and support of our AP teachers, and that's where Lori plays a significant role. And definitely targeted support through our AP Science and Social Studies courses. That comes in with collaboration between the campuses, our Social Studies and Science curriculum coordinators, and Lori as well. continue our collaboration and communication, which we've established with campuses and with our GT parents as well. So how are we going to achieve those things? How are we going to build upon the successes of this year? That comes in the form of professional development. Primarily, we have professional learning communities. We call them curriculum learning communities, where our curriculum team spends time with content area teachers. Lori comes into those secondary level curriculum professional learning sessions and spends a lot of time in conversations with teachers and working with them. I will commend Lori for the amount of classes she has already been walking and observing in this school year. Definitely keep an eye on our data and progress monitoring marks throughout the year. Definitely want to ensure accountability of our teachers obtaining the 30-hour requirements and keeping those updated on an annual basis. And then also just continue our communication. We're trying to use varied ways of communicating through social media. Lori and I also participate with our GT Parents Board, our GYMS Board, in monthly meetings, and just continuing to support our teachers and celebrating the successes that we have seen, especially this past year, and the things that we're already seeing take place with new course offerings that we have at the middle school level, and continuing that updated training and support of those teachers who are embarking on new courses. How is all this accomplished? Everything that I feel that happened in this last year with our advanced placement data is a direct reflection of our commitment to our beliefs in Aspire 2022. This definitely was not the work of one person or one group. It took a lot of people to really start collaborating and communicating about the needs of our students and our teachers to be able to build on and increase our student achievement as far as advanced placement. So we definitely think the results that we achieved this year resulted in a win for all of our students.
So you have a fine line to walk when you are getting additional participation. When we get that rate up, then it doesn't seem like there'd be a direct correlation, perhaps, unwanted correlation between the percentage passing or making the 3, 4s, and 5s, or, I mean, if you were more selective, that number would go up, but you'd have less participation. So is that a correct correlation there? I mean, it seemed like that would be the struggle to get all the students up to the level of the 3, 4, and 5s.
It is, and I will say, I often am asked the question of, would you rather have more students participating and taking the exams and not necessarily all getting the 3s, 4s, or 5s? And I think that's a hard line, and I think that's why that advisement piece is so important, that we play a direct role in guiding our students to take the right course for them. There might be a student who really excels in certain content areas, those sciences, but maybe they don't need to take the English, for example, those English AP exams. So we may guide them and advise them more for a dual credit course. But definitely, yes, I know what you're asking, and I think definitely we want our participation to increase, and I think that's where that support of teachers and advisement comes in.
So they're counseled into or out of the advanced placement or the dual credit situations?
Both.
As sophomores or as?
Yes, definitely, and I think that comes from many different people. I think our counselors play a significant role, our college and career readiness specialists on campus play a role in that, and definitely the student's current teacher plays a significant role in that as well. So we definitely did see an increase in performance, and yes, we want both to be on the increase, absolutely. So that's why it's an area of growth this year, so we can target and monitor that participation and really help in that advisement piece as well.
Now, there is a process for exiting, that if a student wants to get out, I believe y'all call it the Sept process, where they go and counsel the child, and then also the child has to attempt the course. They have to go to tutorials. They have to ensure that this is not just a work effort issue, but rather truly an academic issue, that they can't be or are not going to be successful in that course. And so as far as the counseling out, I would say a lot of it is the rigor of the course counsels them out. We want to be very careful, and we are careful to tell a child that they can't do something, because a lot of that lies in his or her hands. But the reality is some of the courses are highly rigorous, and they may have gotten in over their heads without the time to be able to commit to the course and or to the rigor of it. So it's usually not an ability issue as much as that along with every other responsibility. They may have taken too many AP classes, for example, and overloaded themselves. And if they cut a little bit, they could do well in the courses that they maintain. So, but going back to what you said, it is a balance. I'd say this year, the correlation, we didn't have that situation. We grew and our scores got better. But if we look back the last 5 years, that has been the case. So I don't think it's always going to happen that way. But more often than not, if you get your participation numbers up, then you're going to have that struggle. Now, going back, a lot of the students that are now being successful in those courses, you know, remember we've rewritten a lot of things in our curriculum in our middle school level. We've increased academic rigor in those areas, so their readiness levels are higher. And I can see it. I mean, I can absolutely see it through data, but also through observations that the children that are entering into these AP courses are simply better prepared, which is what we would want to hear. So for a couple of years, we may see participation rates and performance go up, but every year it just depends. And also it depends on, frankly, sometimes people take courses for social reasons. You know, they say, all my friends are taking that course. And so part of the counseling is being really honest with them and very direct about what the commitment level of the course is going to require. If they really want to do that, or if there may be other options.
I think those are great points, Dr. Chadwell. Thank you for sharing that. And the other piece in that you have to keep in mind too are many of these students who take those advanced placement courses are also your same students who are highly involved in extracurricular activities. When Dr. Chadwell mentioned the time factor, it does take an extra amount of time and commitment in the evenings, after school, on the weekends. So they do. I think it's finding that balance for these students because they're the students who are very well involved in many other areas in addition to taking those rigorous courses. And definitely we're excited about what we've been able to accomplish just this year in our middle school with our curriculum and things we're constantly tweaking in the high school courses as well. But then the work that we'll be doing with our elementary as well. So I think we'll have a nice rigorous vertical alignment across the board to help our students be better prepared at the high school level.
In the dual credit, you gave us participation. Does that mean they receive dual credit? In other words, in the AP advanced placement, you've got a participation rate and then a passing rate, or a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On the dual credit, is that a participation rate or is it a passing, receiving credit?
That's a good question. The data that I presented was our participation. Enrollment in the course, and students obtain college credit upon successful completion of the course.
Okay, so they just have to complete the course, they don't?
And pass.
With a C or whatever above.
And our passage rates are
it's a
95+% of those courses.
It's about the same.
We have a lot of success
Yes.
in our dual credit.
Now, we'll mention that this is something, if we really look at this thing in combination, this is what's exciting. With AP growing, we didn't see a drop, which with this growth in the dual credit, that's really saying something. So, Stacy mentioned the relationship with TCC. These are courses, some of the traditional courses we offer, but we're going to see also courses in the area with career and technology with our agreements that we're establishing with them. And so we're going to see this grow by leaps and bounds in this area.
I think it's great, Stacy, that the kids have the opportunity to receive credit either through the dual or now, and of course the advanced placement that we've had. So.
And I didn't mention we are looking to add. We also have a partnership with the University of Texas through a program called On-Ramps, and we offer that in pre-cal right now, and we're looking to continually to offer more opportunities in the future with that as well. So we'll have a variety of courses and paths for students to obtain college credit. Now myself, I have a college senior. He will graduate in May, and he could graduate in December if he would have taken 6 more hours like I asked him to. And he said, well, Mom, why would I want to do that? I'm having a really great time at UT right now. So. Do you have any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is Report D, the Aspire 2022 Strategic Plan Update. Dr. Parker?
And y'all usually give me twice the amount of time that you gave Clete.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just
Maybe
planning
2
for
hours.
that. Actually, my report fits so closely in with Stacy's that it's awesome. If you remember last month, we talked about the masters, approaches, meets, and masters, and how our masters is increasing. I think what her data is showing as well is the rigor in our courses is moving up. And so It is my pleasure to present to you tonight Aspire 2022, the update. The cover sheet is found on page 92 and the presentation begins on page 93. Our word for this year has been alignment. You're going to see evidence of that alignment as I work through the highlights. Our word for this year is capacity, and you're going to see evidence of that in our goal to build capacity as you look at next steps. Highlights, I sent you in the board update the rubrics and the information on the link to the Aspire plan. That is because there's so much information I could cover, it would take me forever. So I'm going to highlight the information, and then if you have questions, feel free to stop me or at the end. Remember, our Aspire plan is built on has our mission, and it's built on 3 specific goals. Those goals have to do with a dynamic, customized education plan, development of technological skills so that our students are prepared and qualified to succeed in their future, all while being in an environment that fosters a culture of excellence. This is built upon our core beliefs, and with that, we have 6 strategies. I'll cover the 6 strategies in depth on each slide, but I just want to share this. The dark bar graph is the 2017-18 school year, and the orange, golden, is the in January of 2018. There, January of 2018 to right now is the dark one. This is exciting because you see growth in all of the areas, and we are totally out of the red and the black and into the green, the yellow, and then the green at proficient is our goal of getting to a 4 point. I do not know why I have a 4.5 because that's just how the graph did it, but our goal is to get at a 4 point, which is proficient in all areas. We're going to start with strategy 1, personalized education plans. This one has been a key point all the way forever, forever, and I think we're getting there, really do. We increased by 0.3, we're up to a 3.3, and what we're doing is really that alignment piece of our goals in the plan, and then our district improvement plan, the goals within those are targeted. That goes down to the campus improvement plan. Their goals are aligned to the district improvement plan. And then the teachers this year are developing SLOs, student learning objectives based on data. So everything's aligned so that we should see that trajectory moving forward. Hopefully by the end of this year, by next year at this time, we'll be developing a new Aspire plan. With this, in career cruising, as well as data folders, we are asking our students this year to create 2 goals, at least 2 goals. 1 academic goal and 1 goal in either behavior or career. To monitor, that's been the key, is how are we going to monitor that? We're going to do it through the data folders or through career cruising. And the principals are working on this. Karen Miller has been instrumental in helping support the campuses in the development of the teacher goals, where the student goals can come directly under that, or they can be something else, but they have to have 2 goals this year. In addition to this, the websites have all been updated. This is part of our rubric plan, is that we have current updates on the websites with links on every campuses to the personalized education plan. Director of Counseling, Mariela Alvarado, has done a great job of creating that website, explaining what a personalized education plan looks like, K through 2, 3 through 5, and on. Lots of resources, lots of information, and discussion. No. Not until 9. I have to 9. Remember? Student-led conferences. In order for us to get to the next step, we have to have student-led conferences. We have some campuses piloting that, but we are not yet there. But we're working towards that. Strategy 2, you want me to go through these really quick? Because I can.
You're doing fine. That was just a little joke we did.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I can, because you have all the information, and in the board update, I try to keep, hey, this is what we're doing. The bond was critical. That's what I can tell you there. And that brought us up 0.2, and we're hitting that 4, and you can see. What I really want to point out is not just the amount of work with getting the Promethean displays up, the great job technology's done, but our instructional technologists and our curriculum department have worked hand in hand so that it's not technology driving curriculum and learning, but curriculum driving what we need in technology to support the learning. And I think that's critical. We've got some incredible resources for the teachers in our curriculum documents that are well worth the time spent to go to get those and to utilize those. And that next part of that is monitoring it. The third strategy is collaborative work. We've always scored extremely high in here, and we are just a 0.1 from being in the green. In this, processes are in place to collaborate. We talk about that a lot, as well as reviewing the assessment tools. We've decreased our number of assessments for our students, and the teachers are required to give, but we've aligned them so they're naturally embedded in the curriculum. That's critical. PLCs for all our next steps. This is critical for us to get to that 4.0. We have to have campuses doing scheduled site visits, either within the district or to other campuses, other districts. Culture on strategy 4, we have increased to 0.3, and again, that alignment piece. Also, the keys you heard tonight with Danny Knowles, and he was talking about the Renaissance, had his Renaissance team up here, and then you saw the Renaissance on Chisholm Trail. That's that alignment piece, development of culture, positivity, and celebrations. I want to point out the parent training. We have parent training in our district. We really need to celebrate this and tell the story, but we have lots of parent training being given by our counseling department and also in our bilingual department. We have Parent Academy, and we often forget about those things, but we've had some excellent attendance and opportunities there. In addition to that, of course, with our safety program and the addition of Safety and Security Department and Crisis Goal, again, you're seeing alignment, and you can see our main goal here is sustaining our current programs and increasing the partnerships. Strategy 5, program evaluation, we're at a 3.8 with an increase again. And this, we used Hanover this past year to do an assessment of our intervention programs at the middle school and elementary. We liked what they did, but we didn't really feel like we got the bang for the buck that we're going to get this year as we use Forecast 5 material and do our own evaluations and be targeted. We'll be evaluating the bilingual program and hopefully the GT program in the next 12 months. Recruitment. When we look at the salary scale and we look at the things that we're doing to attract teachers in, we also have to celebrate our teachers who are staying here because we don't have a high turnover rate. And that comes, I put this in dark, when you are starting salaries at $53,000 and you're willing to jump out there and do some creative things because of your support of our staff and getting the best hires in there, this is great things are happening. We've hired some wonderful people. The HR department's done an incredible job of streamlining our hiring process so we're not having to wait, but we can get those people, decreasing that wait time. Job fairs are attended, but the #1 way we get people into our district is word of mouth. And so with that, the HR department did stay interviews. So instead of interviewing people on why you're leaving, we want to know why you're staying and what we can do better. And the feedback's incredible. We'll continue that and expand that. Very pleased with this. The next steps here, monitoring the best practices. We're aligning the use of best practices. We brought in Lead Forward training where many campuses have done the both school study. We're aligned with Marzano and Hattie in our expectations. The piece now is monitoring and building the capacity of our teachers for their strengths. With that, we're moving forward and we plan on staying on that trajectory upward, and we're very specific and intentional in what we're doing. Do you have any questions?
I think that was less than 10 minutes. Yeah, yeah, and this is our core work. I just have to say that.
Awesome job, Dr. Parker. Congratulations.
Dr. Parker, we could only kid with you.
I know,
And you
but
take
I love
it
it.
well, so thank you for letting us giggle up here anyway.
Yes.
Thank you. And congratulations on your work tonight, by the way. Thank you.
That
That's
totally
great.
caught me by surprise.
Yeah, that's good.
That was kind. I'm still like.
It was Steve's idea for me to flash.
It was.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
It was.
My feelings aren't
I gave her a
hurt
little-
at all.
Little jab.
How much do you have to pay that girl?
I can't talk about that because a lot.
It was very sweet. All right, our next report, we did cover E and F and some action items. That takes us to report G, the TASB update 111, 409 pages of bliss. Dr.
Legal policy.
I know, and I know everyone wants to go through all of these. So TASB Update 111 consisted of 57 legal policy updates, and I will read all of those for you in detail.
Oh, good.
Just kidding. And we're going to flash the 2 minutes. And
Where's that sign?
6 local policy updates.
That's funny.
So, the board was provided vantage points and an executive summary of those updates, and so with explanatory notes. And then I just gave an example of one policy, which I think is amazing, is local policy change to excuse a student age 17 and up for up to 4 days during his enrollment in high school to pursue enlistment in the armed forces. So I thought that was nice. Excuse absence. It's for information purposes only, and we plan to return the report next month. Any questions on?
I encourage you just to look over the updates that they gave you if you have any questions. I talked a little bit to Dr. Chapel about this, so I think the bottom line is that they send out the policies for us in these updates, and if we deviate from them much at all, then and try to adapt or change those, they go over them and most likely will reject the policy that we proposed?
Yes.
Is that?
Yes, and ultimately, the board in a local policy can create their own policy if they feel like it differs significantly from what they see as based in law, or even, honestly, sometimes their practice. They may warn you that we really think it should be something different. In the end, the way it affects you is if we had any kind of litigation or anything that was tied to that area, it's possible that they would not recuse themselves, but excuse themselves from the responsibility, because they would basically say, we told you that this wasn't advisable. Yeah. And so you run into that, and so we really try to stay close to it. There's a few here and there that we simply just don't agree, and we try to work with them on that, or we have our attorneys work with them. But of course, if we're having problems, one of the other 1,100 school districts is so awful. Often the Council of School Attorneys, representing all the law firms in the state, will work with them, so we'll see additional revising in those areas. So there's a lot in there.
All right. There's a lot in there. A lot on guns if you just want to look at the gun part, by the way. All right, so next is we covered Report H. Report I, 1819 staffing proposal.
We did that.
We did that.
Where's that?
816, we're at J.
calendar.
School calendar approval timeline. Dr. Barnes, we've made it to Report J.
I think I can get this done by 9.
Okay.
So it's gonna be okay.
All right, here we
We'll get the
go.
signs ready.
Get the timer ready. Well, of course, the excitement, as always, is bringing together a school calendar. Our hope is that on Wednesday, we will pull together an advisory committee that consists of district leaders, campus administrators, parents, and also leaders in our community. We will review different options for calendars that also meet the state requirements. The goal then, based on the information from the advisory committee, will be taken to leadership in October. If we're able to move forward with that, then we will take it to DPAC. And of course, the goal is to present that to you in November to take action in December. What I would also like as well is
Throughout the year, we are always listening to our community members, our staff, and also our students on their thoughts on the calendar. So as I've done in the past, I open it up to you to please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, concerns, any feedback that you have from the community as well, to please let me know. An example of that may possibly be, each year it's kind of brought up about ending semester before Christmas. If this is something that you would like for me to review and research, I would be glad to do that. If that is something that is not of interest, we can move on to other things. So please feel free to contact me with any suggestions you have.
I never like my suggestions, so.
But Mr. Newcomb, I always listen to you.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Thank you. All right, that concludes the reports. Next up on the agenda is the routine monthly reports, and you saw them there. Does anybody have a question on those? Seeing none. Next is to review the 2018 board planning calendar. Dr. Chapman.
Yes, sir. You'll see in the planning calendar on page 234, we will have a budget status report, including the annual delinquent tax collection report. We'll continue with operations, TASB convention update, a report on the new courses for middle school and high schools for 18-19. That was mentioned earlier that those have been identified, and we'll be bringing those to leadership prior to bringing them to the board. We also have the Saginaw Police Department interlocal agreement. And then you see other action items that conduct the public hearing for the first rating, the appointment of the board naming committee, consider approval of the 18-19, or consider approval of the 18-19 Saginaw Police Department interlocal agreement, and bids and proposals. We are bringing you both the report and action item with Saginaw so that we can get everything as quickly as possible. I don't like that. We've had a few of those tonight, but they're, sometimes it happens that way, and that's the case with the police ones, because they, we bring them to you as soon as we get them from them. But we've already started the year, so it makes it a little bit challenging.
We had 4 or 5 of them tonight. Maybe some of that can be put in the weekly updates and report out so that
Sure.
We would have that information. Instead of having a report like tonight, we didn't get to some of the reports. So.
Right. Yes, sir.
And if you, of course, if you have anything you want to add to the board planning for the agenda, please let Dr. Chapel or myself know. Next is the consent agenda for approval.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Liz to approve the consent agenda. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? There are none. Motion carries 7-0. Next is board president's announcements. I'll just, there was a thing at your place, a little card that I guess we would turn back to you, Becky, that had a preference for a way you want to receive information. So please make sure, if you haven't done that, you fill that out and turn it in. We did get shirts since we're going to the convention. We have a charcoal and a gray.
And a black.
And a black. So,
Yeah,
there you go.
thank you, Tim.
I think they look very nice.
Okay, good.
Very nice.
So, Marilyn, I guess for you, mate, that's what we wear a lot of times at the convention, so.
Okay, that's what I just asked, so is that what
So
we're
you're
wearing?
gonna send something out,
What day, what?
Oh, my gosh.
Come
Okay.
on, you're the president.
Charcoal Friday,
Dick
Gray,
said,
black.
gray Saturday, black Sunday.
Dick said that doesn't matter.
Well, that Mr. Elkins has always been
a rebel.
against the uniform look. Doesn't like uniforms.
Can you repeat
Never been
those
before.
days?
Charcoal, gray, and black.
Charcoal, gray, and black. Friday,
Friday, Saturday,
Start
Sunday.
wearing it on, God, your
Dick, you can
men's
wear
rate is
whatever
never
you want
gonna
at
end.
night.
Ever, ever. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
then we're gonna, I sound like everybody's getting down there Thursday early.
We're
at
getting dressed up to go out to
6:30
eat.
to go eat.
You
And
don't
may
need
speak
your
more of
shorts
that,
on.
I guess, or
We're going to the
Thursday, 6:30.
No.
All right. Dr. Chapel.
Okay. Just a couple of things on the schedule, just to bring your attention to. On October the 9th, we have the Marching Band Expo. It's going to be at Chisholm Trail High School at 6:30. This is a great community builder. We have a lot happening with all the 3 schools there, and of course a lot of the community there. It'll be a lot of fun. Very next day is the Education Foundation Golf Tournament. Then we also have the Saginaw Homecoming on the 28th of September and the Chisholm Trail Homecoming on the 19th. We also have the EMS ISD College Fair on November the 1st at the Hollenstein from 6 to 8. And that's about it. We have a lot going on. Like the president, I just want to say congratulations to Linda. I know that's a great surprise. And you're right, we do have the greatest job because this is one of the few worlds where people will come back years later and remember things we don't even remember saying. So really, that was a great testament to you and also just the profession that we all are involved in. So
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting her do that.
Seeing there's no further business to come before this board, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Elkins, second by Mr. Daughtry.